Carlos, look, because of you and Love and Marriage Huntsville, I got a therapy bill stacking up, and I sure need to send it your way. What's up, y'all? Your girl G here. Welcome back to my channel. We gotta talk about another good episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. It never disappoints. Every episode delivers something new. It's just amazing. Carlos King is on it again. Carlos, I do need to say though, when I see you, we gon' box. Like, we gon' box, bro. Like, I should not be triggered every Saturday because Martell and Melody are going through a situation that is quite similar to what my mother went through growing up. So it's just like bringing up a lot of, maybe unresolved issues. And I clearly, gotta therapize the shit. So can I get your information so I can send you the bill? Cause this shit get old. You trigger me every Saturday and they always find something new for me to talk about. But you know what? I get therapized on the outside that I come here, talk to you guys, get another therapy session where I self-therapize my, my own feelings and whatnot, talking about it. But yeah, it's intense, y'all. It's intense. And when you actually know the feelings of that situation and have been through it in some sort of way, whether as a spouse or a child of people who went through stuff like that, it just hit different, So when I watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, I watch it from a perspective of Melody's children. I was the child who watched her parents go through it because of extramarital issues, right? And so when I watch Martell do the stuff he does as talking about, oh, my kids don't need therapy, it's like they do. And you don't want to admit why they shouldn't go to therapy, which is because you don't want to admit that you fucked them up, period. So I'll get to all that when we get to that part. But nonetheless, I just got to say, Carlos, I love you, but F you at the same goddamn time. Like, damn, can I just catch a break? But let's go ahead and get into the episode. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you for tuning in. Everybody else a part of the Juice Box crew, y'all know what y'all gotta do. Go ahead and like this video. Drop down in the comments and tell me what you thought about the episode, alright? So we open up with Kimmi and Maurice, y'all. Kimmi had to stop by and let Maurice know that Tisha is working her everlast goddamn nerve, okay? Tisha basically is explained to her that, you're my sister. You haven't reached out to me. Why aren't you talking to me? Kimmy's like, well, bitch, I hear you talking about me in these streets. Like, I hear, the whispers, about how I'm such this bad sister, how I'm not there for you. You got your goddamn, linebacker ass cousin trying to come up to me, with her bop and curl, trying to tell me I should have lied for you, basically. Like, no, like, Tisha is just really like, girl, stay off social media because you are getting ribbed, all right? But Maurice basically told Kimmi, it's like, I don't know what she expects for you. Like, she wants you to be other than Kimmi in these situations. Like, that's not fair. And Kimmy's like, yeah, that's basically what she said. And we saw her at the barbecue. She said, I feel like you want me to change when it comes to a situation about you. And she said, absolutely. And it's like, the fuck? Like, if I'm your sister and I see you doing something wrong, as your sister, I'm supposed to tell you, hey, Tisha, that's effed up. But the problem is, Tisha don't want to hear that. And let's be real. What I'm definitely picking up out of this situation between Tisha and Kimmi is, it's honestly not even that. As much as it is about Kimmi, it's more about Melody and the fact that she can't have Melody knowing that she was talking shit about her. Because all this whole time, she was trying to convince Melody it was all her, it was all her. You were the one saying stuff. I never said nothing bad about you. It's more about not letting Melody find out that she was talking shit. Like, she cannot have that because she does not want Melody to have anything on her. But we're not stupid, Tisha. We know you was talking shit about Melody. Like, you're on camera, which is why Kimmy's like, bitch, we were talking shit about you. But you wanted to lie, and that's the thing. You really a childish woman. Like, you not a grown woman. You don't stand in your shit. If you gonna talk about somebody when they call it out, be about it. Like, but the problem is, you always want to have somebody having your back, which is why Miss Wanda constantly in issues, especially butting her nose and stuff, because you that's what you've always experienced from Wanda. Her coming through, she probably was the mama on the playground beating kids up because they pushed you down the slide on accident, you know? But nonetheless, Kimmy's realizing, like, if I can't be me, I might have to separate myself from Tisha. And honestly, that might be what you have to do. You're going to have let Tisha sit in her own shit to realize that she's being unfair and illogical and obviously a hypocrite. So at the same time they're speaking, Tisha and Marcel are speaking, and she talks about how, you know, Kimmi, you know, she gave Kimmi an example, and then Kimmi gave her example back about how, you know, Kyle was calling her a homewrecker, a wench, a scallywag, a chicken head, a Jezebel. Kimmi, you ain't all of those things, but, you know, I'm just trying to, you know, point out that Kyle definitely had it out for you, and Tisha was definitely co-signing that shit. Did y'all see her in the unseen bits? Tisha being, you know, petty Betty, talking about, oh yeah, it was girl code. Like, I definitely understand. And it's like, bitch, you hypocrite. Like Kimmi said, you expected one thing out of me that you don't even give yourself. So Marcel was kind of like, yeah, you know, that's just women problems. Like, what you gonna do? And she's just like, look, if she doesn't abide by what I expect of her, then, you know, it just is what it is. Bitch, what you mean abide? Girl, you ain't no goddamn, you know, constitution. I abide by your laws, the Tisha laws of fucked upness. Like, girl, bye. So now it's just kind of like, Tisha, you really about to F up a real good thing for you because you just can't admit when you're wrong. And we know somebody else who's like that. Oh, speaking of, they did talk about, Marcel was like, oh yeah, your brother came up to me. He-Man, G-Man, T-Man, whatever his name, man. Show looked like a high school, 12-year-old boy though. But nonetheless, he was like, oh yeah, you know, what's going on with this extra child? Like, what I hear you got another child out there? And Tisha was like, if I'd heard that you had another child on social media, I would divorce you and take you for everything you got. Here go Marcel lying ass talking about, oh, Tisha, if you got pregnant by another man, like, I would forgive you. Marcel, get the out of here. Like, no man. I will not ever see, I have yet to see a man find out that his wife got pregnant by another nigga and be like, oh, babe, I'll stick with you through it. It's bullshit. Like, you lying. You lying. Tisha was like, I'm not doing that. And he's like, well, you already got everything I got. She like, bitch, try it if you want to. Do y'all think Marcel got another child out there? But him saying shit like that does not make it any better. Like, he be joking, but you know when people like every part of a joke, there's like a little bit of truth to it. And I really feel like Marcel either got a bitch pregnant, she had a miscarriage, or, you know, the other thing. Or because why did he get a vasectomy and not tell Tisha? Like, that's the thing. Like, he saw Martell was probably out there. Ooh, you know what I just thought of? Because Ariel, whatever her name, Cayenne, Paprika Curry, she did get pregnant before. She said she got pregnant before, and I think she terminated it. So what if that was the time that, you know, Martell had told Marcel about it, and then Marcel was like, psh, let me go ahead and get that snip because that ain't going to be me. What I think, maybe that's how that happened. But nonetheless, bullshit. I call BS on you, Marcel. So speaking of another liar, another hypocrite, Martell, he goes to pick up the kids. He walks in, Melody's out here. She comes flowing down the stairs in her Mary J. Blige-ness, you know, and opens the door. He come in. When I tell you, she's still right there like, nigga, where you going? Ain't going past them steps. Try it if you want to. You got to go to the bathroom. Take your ass to the gas station when you leave. You want to go sit down? Oh, we going to go out here on the stairs, though. You ain't going nowhere in my living room, my kitchen, no nothing. You know what I thought of? That scene from Joanna Man? You ain't getting to my house. You ain't using my bathroom. You ain't using my phone. You ain't getting inside of me. Like, that's my favorite part. Joanna Man, that's just what I thought of when she did that. But they go outside and she basically talking to Martell about boundaries and disrespect. She's like, here you out here crossing boundaries, disrespecting me. You made this post about your baby. And Martell is like trying to make it about, oh, people like, I gotta move on, I gotta live my life, like I gotta talk about my kids. Martell, this is where you do the shit where you think people aren't as smart as you. Nobody's not telling you not to claim your kids. But the fact that you want to claim your child on a picture of Melania or whatever Melanie, the last girl, you know what you were doing. Like, you didn't want to put your child out there and get the flack. You wanted to use that child as a barrier. That was like you trying to dip your toe in it. People know the baby exists, but what I'm hearing, you still haven't posted the baby yet. So why would you even bring it up on that picture to never like talk about the child again? Now, to me, if I'm Ari and Curry, like, I don't know if she's telling him not to post the baby, but I doubt it. I'm sure she's probably telling him, oh, when you gonna put this up there? When you gonna put this up there? When you gonna post our, Christmas, Merry Christmas postcards and shit like that? Like, no, it's not happening. And Martell, as much as you want to claim, oh, I gotta move on with my life, you ain't moving on with your life talking about this baby, though. You were trying to be slick, put it under Milani, and it was disrespectful. So he kind of sort of acknowledged it, like, oh, maybe it's a little bit too soon. But then they started talking about the pickup schedule, and she's like, every time I tell you to come pick up, it's all of a sudden like, oh, y'all do what y'all gotta do. And then he low-key hit her back with the, well, you claim you sick and end up in Georgia. And she was quiet, so I was like, dang, Melody. But I don't give a fuck. Melody, go ahead and keep the kids, because you do the shit to me, so keep them. But they kind of started going back and forth, and she's like, look, let's go to counseling, co-parenting counseling, because we need to figure something out. He agrees to it. She goes back and has to get the kids, but then leave his ass outside, melting and burning. He got on these tight-ass clothes, probably sweating through them and stuff. So he knocks on the door, and then Miss Van opened the door. So he tried to come in and give her a hug. He tried to get the church hug, but he couldn't even get a church hug. She hit him with one of them. So he like, okay. She's like, hi, Martell. She's like, I ain't seen you in a minute. He like, yeah, it's been a minute. She's like, yeah, I heard you saying some things about my baby. I want to discuss that because, things were said and, out of, retaliation or whatever. She was like, you know what, just save it. Just save it. And this right here is a perfect example of how Martell is, because when he was outside on the stairs with Melody, he always tried to be like, oh, if you got something to say, or you feel some type of way about me, like, tell it to me. Don't be on social media because our kids are going to see it. So let's talk about the time that you went on Heavenly's interview trying to dog Melody. Heavenly had to be like, Martell, you an asshole at the end of the interview. I watched that shit. You went on Funky Dineva's. I watched that shit live too. You were calling, trying to cut it off. And then you went on Strawberry Letter. But besides the interviews, what about all the times that you posted talking about Melody was a bad mother on the internet? How about the time that you literally manipulated your kids into saying, oh, daddy taught us how to pray, daddy taught us how to do this and that? And when your kids get older, they're gonna see that manipulation, because I remember being a kid where it's like in the middle of the situation you don't see it, but when you have time to sit with it, you be thinking like, damn, my dad played me. I've had those moments like where it's like, damn, that nigga really played me. And your kids are gonna see how you got them practicing about how daddy taught us all this and that, and how you talked about their mother and how she wasn't doing this for you, how you got a side bitch pleasing you. Like, they're going to see that, right? And they're just going to remember who was there for them. And at the moment, Melody's being there more heavily than you are. But nonetheless, the fact that he was like, oh, kids, hurry up and come down. Your grandmother gave me the hand and I don't appreciate that. It's like, and it reminded me of the last time when they went to the other house where he's like, kids, hurry up. Your mother's cussing. Like, your mother's cussing me out. It's like, why are you doing that? Like, I just don't understand. Like, Martell has just a lack of accountability. And Martell ain't the only one. Like, men in general, black men are, like, y'all lack accountability. And y'all ain't gonna grow. So now, he grabbed the kids, head out. And, they agreed to, to do the therapy or whatever. But the fact that he didn't go past some steps, though, is what was killing me. So we see this little scene with Monster and Kimmi and Maurice. Monster, he's going to choose his high school, and he went to work doing, cutting grass. But Kimmy's looking like, what about our grass, though? Like, what about our grass, though? He ain't been cutting shit. So they agreed to do like a little graduation party. Kai was on the phone. Kimmi had to hit her with the, hey, Kiowa, hey. Because Maurice ain't introduced. And so Kiowa said, bitch, peekaboo, I'm here, I see you. And so after that, Kiowa decides, I just want to talk to you. Like, there's a time we should probably get together, and maybe talk and, air some things out. obviously, because the last time we saw Kyle was at the reunion with Kimmi, and Kyle looked bad. I think Kyle will watch that shit back and realize, like, girl, you looked bad because Kimmi called you out. And you literally got tongue-tied where it was like, oh, you were talking about me. I mean, that's not what I said. And then she said it was like, well, I did say that. So it's kind of like, Kyle knows that, look, girl, I get it. You might have not had technically been divorced, but you and Maurice weren't together. Because she was talking to him because the stupid paper was in the way, like, don't try to play that. Don't. Okay? So they agreed to talk, and I'm very interested to see that conversation. I hope they play it on this season. So Mel goes to see Tiffany. We get the introduction to Tiffany. And Mel's trying to see Tiffany to get some assistants, some interns and stuff like that. And, you know, they get to talking about personal stuff. Tiffany's been divorced, you know, gone through it, been through it, and now is getting married again. So they have something in similarity. She's obviously checking up on Melody to see how she's doing. Melody's like, you know what, the best part of this is, like, I'm getting to know myself again. And that's what I wish more women would understand, because they don't get a divorce out of this. Who am I gonna find? Bitch, yourself. Yourself. When you get a divorce, you are going to finally be able to do things for you and not have to worry about an ain't shit nigga who's making you cook, clean, be a mattress and a mule. Shout out to Erica De Niro. Like, do all of these things and still expected to, like, hop on and do a full split and give you a blowjob every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Like, you gotta find you. Don't be worried about trying to find somebody else. Bitch, find you and fall in love with you again. And I'm glad Melody said something like that. But they're doing the intern stuff, and she invites her to Destiny's birthday situation. Now, Tiffany look all sweet, you know, right here. But bitch, we see that preview for next week. She was coming with the heat, y'all. Coming with the heat. So Martell goes to see Chris, right? And Martell, once again, these schmediums, I'm gonna call him Professor Schmedium, always got these schmedium outfits. Nigga, you a whole medium/large. Quit trying to wear these small ass clothes. Looking like a sack of potatoes, like a big old meat pile. But he go to see Chris, right? We all know Chris has talked to Melody about, you know, building on the 47 acres. And, you know, Chris is out there studying. He's like, oh, what's going on? He said, look at my book. He's like, yeah, you know it is. He's like, okay, what's going on with you? You know, what's up? And he's like, well, you know, I just want to talk to you about, you know, the acres. He's like, yeah, okay, what's going on? Now, Martell don't have his license. He don't have his builder's license. So then, obviously, as I'm thinking, and clearly everybody else in the world is realizing, Martell, you don't have your license. Melody has the builder's license. So in this whole time that y'all been, you know, Martell and Melody Holt, is really the only reason you've been able to do stuff is because she got her license? Because that's what it's looking like. It's really starting to look like that you needed Melody more than she needed you, which is obviously why she is up here, you know, sustaining, and you over here falling flat, struggling, boots, okay? Might have to go on government welfare, looking like. So it's just like, it baffles me, this pride, this ego that men really try to uphold to combat the fact that their woman is really the one that got the shit together. And that's probably why he was really fucking with Ariane, because he was feeling emasculated by Mel, not on account of her, but because he's not secured himself, and he's I need a gold star, I did this, I paid for the bills, I went out and did my job, I need a gold star and some head. Like, that's Martell. And so Ariane, being a nurse or whatever the freak she is, because we all know Martell all constantly tried to remind Melody, you was nothing but a teacher when you met me. Like, he basically he kept trying to say, oh, Melody came up, you know, because of me, basically. And it's like, if she came up because of you, you should be able to rebuild shit on your own and do copy and paste, and Ariane should be right along with you, but that ain't what happening, is it? So to realize that the brains of the operation was Melody, Melody put everything in place, and you just put them, like, you just glued them together. She left them out with the instructions, and you came in with some glue sticks and some glue gun and put them together. So who really was doing the work? But nonetheless, Chris is like, oh, you know, the contractors asked me to ask Melody to build. So Martell's like, well, wait, what? Melody? He's like, yeah. He's like, you know, I had to go and talk to her, but she said, look, I know Martell is passionate about this. Please ask him first. So he's like, yeah, like, why would you not come and talk to me first? Like, he feels betrayed. And a part of me is, I don't know how I feel about this, y'all. Like, y'all, drop down in the comments and tell me how y'all feel about this one. Because I get what Martell is saying, like, why didn't you come and talk to me first? But what was talking to you first going to change? He was still going to talk to Melody because that's what the business client asked for. Like, you trying to like, had he come and talk to you first, like, what were you going to tell him? Because they know you don't have the license. And that's what Martell was like, oh, I don't have the license, but I'm partnered with somebody who does. Why would I take 1, 2, 3 steps? I got to go through you to get to somebody else when I can literally go straight to the source of the builder's license. Plus, she's already on the deed. So now Martell goes to talk about, oh, you working with my ex-wife. I see, oh, you getting your builder's license, and oh, you think you're going to build on the land? Now, when Chris said, you know, I thought about it, I said, nigga, quit lying. You knew this was that. You said, bitch, I'm going to get in where I fit in. I'm going to get this builder's license, and me and Melody going to take over this bitch. Like, Chris is trying to tell him, like, you trying to mix personal and business, but you got to understand, this is business. Here go Martell. I sold the land. I'm the one who brought it to the thing because I want my partners, you know, pockets to get fat. I'm trying to have, you know what I'm going through. Martell trying to get busy and booked again. Why would you not try to look out for me? So I see where Martell's thinking, like, dang, you know, I could have sold this to anybody. I could have gave it to anybody, but I gave it to you. So understandable, but you still viewed it as business. And it's just like, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's like, Martell, you got yourself in a situation. So, like, how sorry can I feel for you? Like, I get the principle of it all, but how, like, you honestly ain't owed no type of loyalty, no type of respect or nothing right now. You're just not. And nobody wants to touch a nigga who cheated on his wife and kids with another bitch for 3-4 years. And she took you back. And got pregnant again. So it's like, how much more? So he upset. Chris is like, look, bro, don't try to make it seem like you did everything because I was doing the work. Like, you might have brought it to me, but when it came to everything else, like, I was doing the work. But of course, Martell, he wouldn't feel like he did something. I sold the land. I'm the one who brought it to you. There would be no sale or nothing if it wasn't for Martell. Like, whatever, nigga. So, y'all talk in the comments. Who's sorry on Martell's or Chris? Like, I don't know. I get it, but it's like, still, like, Martell, you ain't owed shit, honestly. So we finally get to the therapy session between Martell and Melody, and you know, they go in and they are actually doing confessionals together. First of all, confessional looks, Kimmy, I love the pink. I really love the pink. And Melody, that red hair is banging, y'all. I love that red. I love that auburn dark burgundy red. Not burgundy, but that auburn brick red. Like, I love that color. I've actually dyed my hair that color before. So, I just love it. Oh, snap. Why is my battery dying? Hold on, y'all. Let me go charge my phone. I'll be right back. Sorry, y'all. I'm back. My phone had died. Had to charge it real fast. But we're going to get into the last scene of the episode, which was Melody and Martell meeting up for, you know, the co-parenting therapy. They have been doing, like, these little confessional scenes together. And right before the confessional scene, they were just talking about how, oh, you know, he needed a therapist that he related to that was unbiased, right? And so he got rid of Dr. Francis. He said that he couldn't go to Dr. Francis because he had been happily married for over 40-something years, and he just wouldn't understand. You know, I need somebody I can talk to that gets it. She's like, oh, like Chris and what's her name, Melly or something like that. He was like, yeah. So she's like, oh, did that work out? He was like, yes. It's like, nigga, it didn't work. Y'all got a divorce. Cut the bullshit, Martell. You don't want a therapist that's going to call you out. And men who avoid therapy because you really don't want to get down to the issue, the therapist is supposed to open your mind up to something else that you clearly are missing. And if you are missing the fact that in this situation you might be wrong, then the therapist is supposed to point it out. And if you're going to couples therapy and your therapist points out something that you did wrong, they're not biased. Like, I can't stand where, especially men, it's like, oh, well, she went to a therapist and they just kept agreeing with what she said, so they gotta be biased. How about maybe what the fuck your wife was saying is right? Like, why can't your wife be right? Like, why is it that because a therapist agrees with what your wife said, they're biased? Martell, you should want to go to the therapist who was married for over 40-something freaking years. Like, clearly, they had issues through 40 years. Definitely believe that they had issues, but guess what? They worked through it. And that's what you needed to understand. But no, you want to go to a therapist so you can find somebody who understands the reason why you cheated. Because still to this day, you believe that you were entitled to cheat because Melody wasn't getting down on her knees and sucking you to Timbuktu all the way down to the balls. Like, tell the truth. He feels entitled. Like, every time he says, well, you weren't pleased, like, he really feels entitled to cheating because Melody wasn't doing and being the woman that he needed and satisfying him. But nonetheless, they make it to the lady and they go in and they're like, look, what's the main, thing that you two can work out right now? And she said, we need to figure out the schedule because every time it gets to, time for us to switch, Martell's like, oh, I can't make it. And he finally starts admitting like, well, I've been going through a lot of stuff, for a better sense of word. Like, I'm stuck, financially. I'm not doing as well. And, before it was just, it's just hard because with Melody, when she was going through her stuff, like, I had her back. And, right now with me, I just can't see my kids as much. I can't see them. And, it just kind of seemed like don't nobody got Martell back. First of all, just because you're having financial issues, Martell, doesn't mean you can't come by and see your motherfucking kids. Doesn't mean you can't take your kids to the park. Doesn't mean you can't even afford $1 ice cream at McDonald's. You can take your kids, go get an ice cream cone at McDonald's for $1.29 each and take their ass to the park. Like, even if you don't keep them a whole week, still going to do stuff with them or keep them the time that you have them, still taking them out to do stuff is something you can do. So miss me with the bullshit, right? Like, I just can't. And so honestly, what I heard was, I can't keep them at my house because I can't afford to feed my kids. I can't keep them for 2-3 weeks because that's extra money, to take care of these kids that I don't got. And it's just so ironic how Martell and a lot of you men really feel like y'all got it like that, but it really be the woman who be upholding y'all. And y'all gonna start realizing, acknowledging women are doing a lot more for y'all than you want to, like, respect. So he starts getting emotional, and so Melody, of course, gets emotional. Goddamn therapist that had no tissue. But she, in her confessional was like, you know what? I do feel for Martell because I've been there. I had those days where I cried in the closet. But she said I had to learn that I had to get out of God's way. And when she said that, I was like, bingo. That's it. Men a lot of times miss a lesson being protected by the woman of the house. Because the woman always wants to fix. Because he's my husband, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to do whatever I can. But he has to fix what's within himself. And you can't do that for him. That's got to be him and his lesson with God. And what Martell is going through right now is a lesson from God telling you, like, you don't got it all. You don't have nothing. Your ego, being vain and prideful and egotistical, God don't like none of that. So here you are, I got to start right from the bottom. But I thought you were Mr. I had it all, right? So this is Martell's lesson. This is the universe telling him, like, you ain't as big as bad as you think, bruh. So then they start talking about he was like, yeah, just feel like, don't nobody got Martell back. And he started trying to, like, kind of whimpering and all that type of stuff. And it's like, oh, don't nobody got your back. Oh, but you did have somebody that had your back, though. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? You did have somebody who had your back for 14 years. Through the teach-ations, through the pregnancies, through the miscarriages, through the abortions, through all of it. Through the cheating, and her taking you back. You had somebody who had your front side and back. Now look at you. But where Ariana at though? She don't got your back? She can't cover the bills? She can't get a builder's license, can she? Really? Man, I don't feel bad for that nigga one bit. So then she like goes to console him. He like, man, watch out. And she was like, okay. And so the therapist was like, is it hard for you to like accept her consoling? He was like, yeah, it is. And I get like, when you've been fighting with somebody so long, that's your immediate reaction. But so Melody went right back to the shit stove. Well, you know what? Although you're going through a hard time, you got 5 kids, Martell. So you can't stop. You can't stop at all, Martell. I did it. Now you got to do the same thing. So he was like, stop, Melody. Like, we got 4 kids together. But she's like, but you got 5 kids, Martell. 5. And it's like, bruh, you got 5 kids. He's like, no, now let's go. I take care of all of my kids. Now let's go. And it's like, bruh, chill out. Melody, I think, was actually trying to give you a legitimate kick in the ass of thinking like, you may be depressed, go get your therapy, your sessions, but you still got kids to take care of. You still got kids to be there for. And then when he got asked, I skipped this part, when he got asked about, oh, you know, your kids going to therapy, he was like, oh no, you know, I don't think my kids need therapy because I don't want to introduce the issue, you know, that's not there. And Melody went through each of her kids, was like, you know, Mariah, she's being more reserved. Little Martell, he's clearly got resentment for his father. Because y'all remember when Martell and when Melody and baby Martell, they talked to that one lady from last season. He was like, I don't like to see mommy cry. Like, he's like, I don't know why daddy was acting crazy. He sees that shit. And then the last one, she's like, why is my 5-year-old writing about don't break my heart? And you could tell in Martell's face, like, it was like, oh shit, like, okay. And the lady asked, well, what did you hear? He said, okay, my kids have things that need to be addressed. And what happens a lot when men cheat is like, the last thing they want to do is have to go to their kid and tell them, oh, this is the reason. He want to sit there and lie and be like, oh, my kids know mommy and daddy divorced and that daddy cheated. And it's like, well, they know because they heard the fighting. He's like, well, I told you to be quiet, be quiet. She's like, I told you stop cheating, stop cheating. And so it's like, you talking about you mad at her for yelling, but it's like, why was she yelling, nigga? She yelling because you can't keep your dick in your pants. You community dick. So, and I've been there, like, I've been the kid listening to your parents fight, listening to your parents argue, which is why I'm not a proponent of people freaking staying together for the kids. That shit is whack. It's whack. You ruin your kids that way, and it causes a lot of fucking issues that don't need to be there. You're teaching your kids to understand that a disrespectful, you know, just like toxic relationship is the way to go, and that's not the way to live, especially for women. If as a wife you're tolerating this bullshit and you got daughters, they're gonna grow up and do the same shit. So now it's like, Martell, you don't want your kids to go to therapy because at some point you know you're gonna have to address the fact that you fucked them up for life. For real. When they get older, they're gonna look at you just to have a lack of respect for you. And I know that feeling. I know that feeling of looking at your dad and just being like, bro, you did some foul ass shit and I don't respect you. And there has yet come a time actually in this situation, like there is, like, I literally still have issues with my dad because he hasn't even came and like us as kids have yet to speak. We're not on speaking terms with my dad. Like, none of us had gotten an apology for what happened. And I've a little bit spoken with my dad, but he's always, oh, you know, time, you know, it's you know, you can't let stuff, you know, stop you from living. And it's like, no, don't try to give me, oh, time heals all wounds bullshit. No, you gotta talk to your kids and say, this is what I did and I messed up and I'm sorry. And so, Martell, you're gonna have to do that. So now the lady's like, okay, I've been to y'all situation. Like, he now has to tell the kids that there's another baby. Like, he has yet to tell them that there's another baby. So, the therapist was like, I've been there, you know, I've had to go through it. Best I can advise is, you know, you be with the kids, but Melody, you just sit there. Even on the inside, you really like, fuck this bitch, I can't stand her. You know, I can't stand him. You just have to let the kids know it's okay to accept that baby, basically. So they end on that note and then go right back outside and start arguing fucking again because Martell is mad that Melody is considering, you know, doing the 47 acres. He's like, man, Chris, you know, I'm just really mad at him. He's like, but I respect that you know, you kind of have my back. She's like, yeah, but I'm still considering it. He's like, oh, really? A word? He's like, man, you ain't never built shit, and walked off. She's like, oh, really? You ain't laid down a concrete, installed a window, put in a refrigerator, installed an air condition. Hell, you ain't even lift up a hammer. But I didn't build nothing. So she's like, bye, Martell. Bye, Martell hold. And he's like, man, shut up. Melody, why you being like that? Why you being difficult? It's like, she wasn't even being difficult. Really, he the one who hyped it up. And it's like, here we go all over again. But that was the episode, y'all. This episode is honestly really triggering. Just like when you just see men who just refuse to acknowledge like their mistakes affect their kids, and they're gonna grow up with them same things. And you know, luckily for the kids, they're a little bit younger, and they can't quite comprehend. They know it's bad, but they can't quite comprehend the parameters, the extremity of it. Unfortunately, I was in high school. I witnessed it all, understood it all, like put in the middle of some bad shit. So when you see it, it's different. So it's just kind of like, I love Marriage Huntsville. Like, it got me all up in my PTSD triggered. Carlos, I blame you, okay? Give me your information so I can send you my therapy bill, nigga. That was it, y'all. I gotta go eat some lunch. Tell me how you feel about the episode. Are y'all team Chris, team Martell? Do you guys think Martell is going to introduce them to the baby anytime soon? And what do you guys think about Kimmi? Should Kimmi finally ice out Tisha? Should she finally give her, you know, be like, bye-bye, bitch. I can't do this. Bye-bye. Toodaloo. Y'all drop in the comments and let me know. I appreciate you for tuning in. We'll be back next Saturday for the next episode because it's going to be good. Tiffany over there causing up chaos and confusion on Destiny's birthday. She like, this bitch here. But I gotta go. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like, tag, post, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will catch you later. Deuces.